Hello and very warm welcome to the Arise interview, 60 glorious minutes of multifaceted discussion where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and we feature the voices at the heart of the stories. I am Christian Ogodo. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the next hour, as the Independent National Electoral Commission publishes the personal particulars of nominated candidates who are to participate in the forthcoming governorship election in Kogi and Bayelsa States, the Commission is expressing worry that some of the candidates fall below the age limit sanctioned for participation in the polls. We'll speak to a National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voters Committee of INEC, Festus Okoye, in a moment. And later, there have been divergent views about the verdict of the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, dismissing in its entirety the petition filed by the PDP and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, who was challenging the outcome of the elections of Muhammadu Buhari as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for a second term. This time around, we'll go a step further to speak to political giants from the concerned parties in a moment. The off-season election in Kogi and Bayelsa States is fast approaching, and it is customary for the electoral umpire to adequately prepare for these elections. As required by law, the Commission monitored the primaries conducted by political parties and has expressed its resolve to publish the personal particulars of nominated candidates in the forthcoming governorship election. However, out of the 101 nominees for the two states, 91 are males, representing 90%, while 10 are females, representing a meager 10%. Well, quite a low representation of women's participation in the forthcoming governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa States. And how does the Electoral Commission intend to handle the issue of candidates who fall below the age limits that have been put forward to participate in the polls? For more on this, I'm now being joined by Mr. Festus Okoye, who is the National Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Very warm welcome, Festus.
Thank you so much.
It's been a while, eh?
Yes.
Busy all the time. I'm preparing for the season elections in Kogi and Bayelsa States.
Exactly.
But some worrisome developments there. It does not concern your commission how many women are participating. That's a Nigerian problem, to be sorted. But the issue here is that more than or close to 50% of those put forward by some of the parties don't meet the constitutional and electoral requirements of the age limit for such position of governorship, of governor.
Well, I think that all political parties ought to know, and the leadership of political parties ought to know the age requirement or the minimum age requirement for contesting all the elective positions provided for in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, there was a constitutional amendment, the Fourth Amendment, that reduced the age requirement for contesting certain positions. But that age requirement and the lowering of that age only affected elections to the House of Representatives and elections to the state assemblies. There was no amendment in relation to the age qualification for senatorial elections and for governorship elections. So for governorship elections, the age requirement still remains at 35. Unfortunately, some of the political parties, either through their refusal to read the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or through some inadvertence, or through their refusal to also listen to the legal advisors in their political parties, submitted the names of people who did not meet the age requirements for contesting governorship elections. And that is the reality of the situation, and that is what we have at hand.
Okay, you want to bring us up to speed about your preparations? These are two volatile states when it comes to the conduct of elections and the rest. You superintend, election in all its entirety.
Yes.
What kind of logistic problems do you envisage? Two states alone, it's
Yes.
not the whole country.
Yes.
And what kind of synergy are you putting in place that will help secure, voters' participation without any untoward incidents?
Well, we are working towards that. As you know, out of the 5 local government areas in Bayelsa, 5 are riverine. And we also have...
the entire state is generally riverine, so
Yes.
you're going to need a lot of speedboats there
Yes.
and the rest.
Ex-
so are you
exactly.
speaking with the Navy, for example?
Definitely, we're already doing that. But what we have done is to make sure that as of today, all the non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of elections in Kogi and in Bayelsa are already in the state. So we don't have any challenge with the procurement of non-sensitive materials for these 2 states.
When you talk about sensitive materials
And non-sensitive
now, and
materials.
non-sensitive,
By non-sensitive materials, I mean things like ballot boxes, cubicles, and chairs, generators, and so on and so forth, that will be used to power the collation centers and power all the other centers where collation of results will take place. So all these ones, the non-sensitive materials are already in place. And for the sensitive materials, we are in top shape for the procurement of all the sensitive materials required for these elections. And we have also started consultation with the critical stakeholders and also started consultation with the institutions where we are going to get our ad hoc staff from. So we are on top of the situation in relation to the elections in Kogi and Bayelsa. And as you are aware, as of today, we have published the personal particulars of all the candidates contesting elections both in Kogi and in Bayelsa State. And so we have been following our timetable and schedule of activities.
and these are for claims and objections and the rest from members of the public, so that it does not come to the issue of certificate or no certificate attached to Form 001.
Exactly. The law is very, very clear. The Electoral Act says that at the close of nomination, the Independent National Electoral Commission has 7 days to publish the personal particulars of all the candidates contesting the elections in the constituencies where they are contesting. For the Bayelsa and Kogi, the state is 1 constituency. So we've published this list in our INEC office. Any individual can go and request for this. And if you believe that any of the candidates in the election has supplied false information, you have the right to go to court and move the court to disqualify that particular individual. And if the court...
Not a petition to INEC.
No, not a petition to INEC. And if the court agrees with you, the court will make an order disqualifying the candidate.
And that is what is called pre-election matter before the court.
These are pre-election matters, yes. So we have complied with the letter and spirit of the law relating to the nomination of candidates.
Is there anywhere in your rules and regulations or the Electoral Act, candidates submitting their particulars and the rest, do they attach any particulars to the Form 001?
Some of them do attach. Some of them don't attach.
You are not fussy about that?
No, we are not fussy about that. What the law obligates us to do is that when they submit in compliance with Form CF001 and CF002, that we should publish this thing in the constituencies where they intend to contest. That there's a possibility that it is people from those constituencies that know them and can make claims and objections. If both of us attended a particular school and then you didn't further, and then in your particulars you claim that you went to Federal Government College, Omoaya, for instance, and I know for a particular year, and I know you didn't go, I can make a claim and say, no, this person, I didn't see him in that particular school, so the information he has put forward is false. And then you can go to court and ask the court to disqualify the individual. So the law has domiciled that particular power with the individual or with persons in any of the political parties and in any of the civil society groups and organizations, just members of the public generally.
Okay, very well said and put there. From your record,
Yes.
64 political parties conducted primaries
Yes.
in Bayelsa State as against 59 in Kogi State. Now you are having another gargantuan or a mass political parties coming on the ballot again, just like you witnessed in the general elections, particularly the presidential elections, where the ballot paper
Yes.
is so lengthy and the rest. That's what you're going to face again.
Yes, sir, because that's the reality on the ground. As of today, we have 92 registered political parties. And if you look at the provisions of the Constitution relating to the registration of political parties, the Constitution is very, very clear. The only tough condition in the Constitution relating to parties registration is the condition that a political party wanting to be registered must have an office in the Federal Capital Territory. Other than that, every other thing revolves around paperwork. So, and the Electoral Act also makes it mandatory that if a political party has applied for registration and within a period of 30 days we are not able to register that party, that we must inform that particular political party of the reasons for their non-registration. That if we do not do that, the party is deemed registered. So as of today, we have 92 political parties. One of the parties was registered through the instrumentality of the court. So we have 92 parties as of today. Yes.
Okay, 92 parties as of today.
So the implication,
Yeah.
the implication is that parties will keep on multiplying. Although
and the ballot paper will
yes,
keep
although
stretching.
the Constitution has given us the right to deregister political parties if they don't meet a certain threshold.
Are you doing that? Are you compiling a list of political parties to be deregistered because some of them, like you're trying to intone, are not active?
We are looking at all the variables. Everything is on the table. We are looking at all the variables. And if the Commission is convinced that a political party has fallen out of the constitutional window, definitely the Commission will perform its constitutional duty as provided for in the Constitution.
Yes, because the argument is really being for and against, register more, or Nigeria needs more party. No, we need fewer parties. Particularly because of the logistical, challenges that you have to face.
Yes.
And when you look at Bayelsa State, it's a very tough terrain in that direction.
Yes. Bayelsa will be tough. But we are also looking at the lessons from previous elections, looking at what we did well and what we did not do well, and also taking all the lessons on board. We are going to hire gunboats to protect our officials and our materials on the high seas. So we are talking with the Navy as at now, and we're also talking with all the other critical stakeholders to make sure that we have free, fair, and credible elections in these two states.
And what kind of enlightenment have you been putting out there to the people?
Very, very robust. In fact, some of our officials are already in Bayelsa and in Kogi doing different things. And we are going to have jingles, we are going to have road shows, we are going to have campus outreach and so many things. And we are going to even have what we call door-to-door sensitization of the people. So we are putting everything in place. And if the political parties cooperate and the candidates cooperate, and we also have synergy with the security agencies, we are going to have good elections in these two states.
Thanks so very much. Festus Okoye would come back to you after this commercial break. You're still watching the Arise interview. We've got plenty more ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview, and thanks for staying with us. I still have in our studios Mr. Festus Okoye, who is the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voters Education Committee. One question that, etches on the minds of most Nigerians now as you are going to have this off-season election is INEC going to use the smart card reader in Kogi and Bayelsa elections? That's one. Two, are you going to transmit the results electronically? And 3, are you going to publish the results on your website?
Okay. I hope I remember the 3.
I will remind you.
In relation to the use of the smart card reader, the Independent National Electoral Commission will use the smart card readers for the 2 elections. This is because the Supreme Court has authenticated the use of the smart card reader for the process for the purposes of voter identification and authentication. The mistake people are making is to equate proving over voting with the use of the smart card reader. For the purposes of confirming that the person who has come to the polling unit is the owner of the card, the smart card reader will be used. For purposes of authenticating the biometrics of voters, we are going to use the smart card reader. The only thing the Supreme Court has said is that if you go to court and you want to prove over voting, you must tender the voters register and tender forms, and then you can use the data from the smart card reader as a backup. But you cannot use the data from the smart card reader as the only means of proving over voting. So I think that people are confusing the 2. So we are going to use the smart card reader for these 2 elections. The second relates to whether we are going to transmit
electronically the results. Yeah.
The commission is a creation of the Constitution and a creation of the law. The law, as of today, is that the commission must engage in step-by-step recording of the results of elections. And we must also transmit the results of elections manually. Until the law is amended, the commission will abide by and adhere to the constitutional and statutory provisions relating to the issue of transmission of results. But I'm not afraid to answer the other question. The propaganda out there will not deter the commission from engaging in new innovations and finding creative ways of improving the electoral process. We have done pilots in different issues and in different areas. So for each election, whatever new innovation we want to introduce, we can still pilot it, so long as we do not breach the law. That's 2. The third question relates to
websites. Publishing your results on your website.
The results of the 2019 elections.
Yeah.
When we are going to do something that has never been done before. When we put it up on our website, you will see something radically and creatively different. So for the Bayelsa and Kogi governorship elections, we are going to put those results on our website. But you are asking me this question in relation to the propaganda out there that 6 months after, I'm coming.
Okay.
That 6 months after, we don't have it. You should also, conversely, ask the political parties. The law says that 3 months after election, that they should submit to the commission detailed account of the expenditure of their presidential candidates and all the other candidates. Ask the political parties how many of them have submitted that report.
You tell us.
I'm asking. I want you.
You tell us, because you are in charge of a very critical arm of the department.
I want you to ask them.
We will inquire that. We'll investigate that.
When the political parties appear before you, ask them, have you submitted one? Not to talk of the one that is due 6 months after, which is not due. Ask them whether they have also submitted that one.
So why are you not sanctioning them?
No,
tell us those.
It's not for us to sanction them.
Tell us those who have submitted.
No, I'm not. I want you to do your own investigation.
But you are in charge of. You know the commission.
Because
you tell Nigerians.
Because there is no provision in the law that says that the commission must publish on its website the scores of the candidates at a particular period. There's no particular period that.
Why do you call it propaganda when even the election monitoring organizations, whether the EU, those in Nigeria and the rest, the Situation Room, they all agreed that that is one of the many ways of bettering the electoral process? What is propaganda?
The law says we should publish, and we are going to publish. And we are going to publish it in a manner.
About 6 months after, isn't that worrisome, really?
There is no provision in the law that says that we must publish within a month or 2 months or 3 months or in 6 months. But for political parties, the law has said, give us this thing within 3 months, give us the other one within 6 months. Less than 2% have submitted, and they're not talking about it.
And the law does not give you the powers to sanction them.
So just small election they did, they say give us report, and they cannot provide report. And it is election in the whole of Nigeria that we are now talking about. Not only presidential election, state senatorial election, state assembly elections, and federal constituency elections, and elections to the councillorship of the Federal Capital Territory. So I think that we should leave the propaganda aspect of it. We are going to publish, and we are going to publish creatively, and we are going to publish in such a manner that Nigerians will be happy when they look at the website. So we are going to do our own bit. So
Kogi and Bayelsa States would be like, a pilot to this now.
No. We are going to publish. There's a possibility that we may even publish even before the Kogi and Bayelsa elections.
Okay, Nigerians are looking forward to that. Now, let's go back to the nominees again for the governorship elections in both states, Kogi and Bayelsa States.
Yes.
You had said quite a number of some of the parties nominated people below the age brackets and the rest.
Yes.
What is the commission going to do?
We are going to write to them. We are going to draw their attention first to what they have done. And then thereafter, we will meet as a commission to take a position. But if you ask me as a lawyer, I will tell you that they don't have candidates in the election. But if you ask me as a national commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, I will tell you that the position of the commission is that for those political parties that nominated underage candidates, we are going to write a letter to them, drawing their attention to the fact that the candidates they nominated, based on what they feed in their forms, are underage. And then thereafter, when we get their response, we will meet as a commission and then take a position.
You have to wait until you get a response from them when you know that there is already an infraction, even though you've spoken from, two sides, the perspective from a personal view and that of a commission.
Yes.
Are you going to bend the rules for them to accommodate them, or will you give them another window of opportunity to bring forward nominees that would meet the entire requirements?
According to the timetable and schedule of activities released by the commission, the period for nomination has closed, and it has closed, and it has closed. Nobody can reopen it. So if you nominated a candidate that did not meet the constitutional threshold, there is no way you can replace such a candidate. We have written to them, the commission will write to them, and then thereafter the commission will meet and take a position on what to do and the way forward. So I don't want to preempt the commission, but I've given you my perspective as a lawyer. For me, since they nominated
it is obvious. If you say the nomination has closed, and that's the constitutional provision, they don't have candidates.
Well, you are the one saying it. I've not said it.
You've said it, so I'm only
I gave you my perspective as a lawyer.
I'm only just helping to re-echo it. There's no need to speak from both sides
of
I
gave you my perspective as a lawyer.
It's very obvious.
The commission has not taken a position. The commission says we are going to write to them, and thereafter we will meet and take a position.
Of course, there's no way the commission is going to go against the provisions of the law. Am I right?
No, we are a law-abiding institution, and we cannot go against the provisions of the Constitution and the law.
So it's obvious.
I don't know whether it's obvious. I've just told you we are a law-abiding institution.
And from that summation, you just may not be having as much as the 91 or so political parties participating for the governorship elections.
No, if you look at the number of the number that filed nominations,
I have
is lower than that.
Yes.
Yes. So we are going to have around 52, 49
in both states.
In both states, yes.
Yeah, that is when you must have dropped those underage participants or nominees.
I really don't know.
I think it will be further reduced, and that is going to help reduce your logistical burden.
Yes, we want our logistic burden to be reduced, but whether the number of political parties that will contest the elections will fall below 52 and 49, I'm not in a position to say that as at now.
What other things will your commission be craving for a successful outing in Kogi and Bayelsa? I know Kogi comes first in November.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah,
December.
in November. Yeah.
No, the success of any election is a multi-stakeholder venture. If the political parties play by the rules of the game, if the security agencies cooperate with us, if civil society groups and organizations are on the same page with us, if the media do their own part, then we are going to have a very successful election.
Okay,
but on our own part,
Festus,
yes.
If
Yes.
you're telling Nigerians now, but
Yes.
let me ask you one final question.
Yes.
I asked your chairman before the general elections in February.
Yes.
He didn't give a satisfactory answer. I said that this commission, you have 1 minute, this commission is full of inconclusive elections. You're going to have if you have inconclusive elections in Kogi and Bayelsa, isn't that a possibility?
The framers of our constitution embedded the concept of inconclusive elections in the constitutional framework. If a candidate does not meet the constitutional threshold of having a majority of lawful votes cast and a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of all the local governments, there is no way we can return such a governorship candidate as having been elected. In such instance,
So we
you
should,
have an inconclusive
so we should
election.
expect inconclusive elections again.
We believe that this election will be conclusive, but if anyone does not meet the constitutional and statutory threshold, we will go back and reconduct it.
Well, let me thank you very fervently. Festus Okoye is the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voters Education Committee, for coming to shed more light on the forthcoming elections in Kogi and Bayelsa.